Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, Traders Pro. Market conditions remaining bullish in a bull market, although we're seeing some cracks in this trend. We'll talk about that this morning. We're seeing S&P 500 towards the upper end of this range. We talked about a couple of momentum type indications. We've got momentum that's sliding as price activity kind of topped out here. Obviously, we can see that just in the shorter term chart pattern. We're tracing back down. We have breadth that is also creating a new high in relation to the momentum, and we have sentiment that is also really good right here. So we actually are at the upper end of this range. We've got the resistance area, so we definitely want to be aware of that. And these market conditions oftentimes are simply, am I early into the trend? Am I late in the trend? Am I in the middle of the trend? So currently we're later in this current trend. And by the current trend, I'm just referencing this last move that we've had over the last 6-8 weeks. And so we're looking at kind of an upper end of that range and some extreme conditions currently. Momentum starting to slide back the other direction. We're getting breadth that is solid to the upside, which is a good thing, but it needs to pull back just a little bit here. We're in the upper end of these ranges on really on breadth. The rest are, momentum starting to turn back just a little bit. We are seeing the buy-sell ratio starting to curl back a little bit and had also been extreme. We saw a real extreme number right here on buy-sell ratio of 6. So once we start to get up into these ranges, it's unsustainable in that current trend and start to look for some pullback within that current trend, if not a full reversal. So even market tops and major reversals start at a point like this, where we're at a market top, we're at a resistance area, we're extreme to the upside, we're getting wide on that buy-sell ratio, and now we're starting to curl back together again. We're also seeing some cracks here in the sectors location where we're getting sector ETFs. We're starting to see more and more short-term downtrends. So we're seeing more and more of those and moving back into hold. So there is some pausing right here in the market. We're seeing the strength of some of these moves starting to just correct or retrace or counter trend. It's certainly due for something like that within the overall market itself. Buy-sell ratios across the board really are still really good to the extreme side. Even like Dow Transports, we're seeing 14 buys, 1 sell, 9-1 on NASDAQ 100. Still some stuck in the hold right there, but solidly to the upside. And it needs to be our overall bias in terms of market direction, minus the fact that it's extreme. And so these are opportunities to either lighten up portfolios, take some profits, look for maybe even some short-term opportunities on a downturn. Again, just all short-term right here, waiting for an opportunity for a pullback and then a bounce. S&P 500, let's look at that chart on the 6-month time frame. You can see a solid down day if I pull volume off of there so we can see that a little bit different. And can't go back to candlesticks. You can see this big bearish engulfing day. An engulfing day is when you have price that opens, in this case, a bearish engulfing. It's opening higher than the prior bar and then trades all down all day long and then gives us that engulfing. It covers up the body of the prior day candlestick. That's an engulfing. So, and obviously we're at resistance area and we're seeing selling every time it pulls into that range, but it's a relatively tight range as of now. So we'll see if this becomes our counter trend zone and if we can hold up this support area and then break out above that. If not, then our next stop is going to be that 448 to test on SPY. So watch to see if this area right here gets broken, this support area right here, right around that 453 range or so. Let's see what that actual low price is right here on that low is 453. So 453, watch for support. Again, if that doesn't hold, 447. And at this point, if we can get back to that 448, we'll be watching for some support to be buying into. And if we don't ever get there, and if it's holding up support right at this range, then that's a good sign for a good solid potential rally going into the end of the year. But it's the reward to risk of a breakout is getting less and less because we're just, it could rally higher for a few days and then immediately retrace. We need some kind of a retracement in this overall move currently. If we take a look at some of the muscle stocks in the group, we are seeing, there's always going to be new buys in there. Some of the overall pattern may not always hold up if markets are retracing, but nonetheless, there's some good ideas always in this list. If we look at the top one on the list, let me go back here to signals. This is HCI, an insurance company. It looks like property casualty, very strong move, and definitely in that upper momentum zone, and pulling from a hold signal back up into a buy signal currently. If we look at the next couple here in the list, ESAB, metal production fabrication, we're seeing some of those metal stocks and steel stocks do pretty well. SGEN, a little bit of a more solid pattern right here. If I go to that, back to candlesticks, that's a good solid confirmation bar yesterday or 2 days ago, and still tight within this overall momentum location and finding some support right here. Of those three, that's the most interesting. Medical, biomedical, always be very aware of the risk associated with those kind of stocks, because they can jump around quite aggressively. Let's go through a couple of others here and see if there's anything compelling a little deeper in the list. Take Two Interactive, that's a nice bounce off of the momentum zone. A couple days ago. Let's see if there's any volume on that, and let's come back to this. A pretty big volume day on that rally, which is an interesting setup. Some gaps here. When we start to get these gaps, we just let them pull back into the buy zone. If we don't have a good setup, we can just continue on to the next one. So some decent looking stocks in there. Actually, let's jump over into oil. We didn't look at some of the commodities that we look at. Typically gold. Gold is leading. It had a nice bounce off of the momentum zone here, and this is a really solid support location for gold. Gold is very attractive. We've talked about accessing gold stocks to be able to go to the sector's location, go to your sector scan, and then go to your basic materials here. And then your subsector, your industry is going to be gold stocks right here, that 28. You can click on that 28. It's going to pull in those leading stocks that are in that overall group. You can watch, a lot of these have had real solid uptrends, and if they've got any kind of a pullback, they're working. Some of those are working on a little bit of a pullback, retracement into that momentum zone, that 236 upper range. Let's see what Harmony's doing. It's had a big run up. So, not bad overall right there for some of those stocks. They needed a little correction, counter trend, but gold is in a pretty significant uptrend currently and looks to continue that. If we go back to our commodities and take a quick look at USO. USO is continually declining. It had a pretty sharp down day. We talked about that also yesterday, where if it breaks this support area, it's probably going to retest some of these lows. So a pretty sharp sell-off yesterday, down 4% on USO. It's over to the extreme to the downside now on momentum. So we'll see if it ends up holding up right here. If we go out to that 1 year time frame, we'll see where that support area is starting to see. We'll start to see some support area around this range right here, potentially down to that 63. So I'd keep an eye on oil. In my opinion, this is a good thing for the market. We want to see oil prices come back down for consumers and for the economy as a whole. That'll do it for today's update. If you don't have full access to the software, you can sign up with the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a great day today.